Oh man, it's harder than a motherfucker out here, man.
I know. Shit.
God damn, look at Crotch Duster. Boy, them some weird motherfuckers
Man,
right there, dog.
fuck Crotch Duster, man. We need to get to Williamsburg land.
I know what the motherfuckers know how to get though, man. God damn, Williamsburg land.
I know, man. They got some fat ass pussy and some big ass titties in Williamsburg land.
I heard it was a motherfucker in Williamsburg, dog, with a titty so long.
Damn, we done ran out of mammal sauce.
God damn, we damn sure gotta get some mammal sauce. Plus them hoes, dog, they fiending for that mammal sauce, dog.
We need some mammal sauce.
Like when them hoes get on that mammal sauce, them hoes just get the cutting theyself and motherfucking pissing all over the motherfucking place and shit, man. I mean, the shit is just, god damn, we need some mammal sauce. For real, man. I need, hey, Williams, dog, check this out. I need 4 orders of mammal sauce, dog. Hurry the fuck up, man. Get there and get your ass back, nigga.
In case of emergency, gotta use mammal sauce. It's my everyday supply. Without it, I'd be lost. Trust this motherfucker. I use it in my hair. I use it in my balls and even play solitaire. I put it in my milk to make my breakfast great. You must think I'm joking. I use it to masturbate. But when I have a party, I spice the drinks. Mammal sauce is the greatest thing since the Cuban link.
Fuck, I love this song. And I'll show you exactly what I love about it so much in about 2 seconds here. This is Jason Sukoff. He's a producer. If you've never heard of him, he's produced Trivium and God Forbid and a million other bands. He has a few plugins, actually. He's got a drum software, but this is him doing all these hilarious voices at the end. Glenn Danzig to start. This is a legendary level Danzig impression. It makes me laugh every fucking time. This is Crotch Duster. And it goes to Chuck Billy. And this is a perfect Chuck Billy. Perfect. It's fucking perfect. And again, this is Crotch Duster. The album is big fat box of shit. It will make you laugh all day long, though. Okay. And then it just goes into what I'm assuming is... I've never really understood what the last section is, although it... You guys be the judge. Who is the impression of on the last one? I've always gotten it thinking it was Nevermore. I always thought this was supposed to be Nevermore. Either way, guys, thanks for dropping in today. My name is Tyler. Welcome to the Amp Sim Show, episode 120 something. Anyways, I think I got it right. 124. We've done 124 of these things. And still, man, our viewership is low. And that's okay, because again, I haven't really started the stuff that really gets the shares is the pre-recorded reviews, short stuff. And eventually we'll be ready for those. And that's cool because we've got a really nice little community here. And we're pretty niche. And, you know, I'm not just a, if I was, you see a lot of demos for Amp Sims. So a lot of demos for Amp Sims are the same. It's just some guy in his early 20s playing a $6,000 or $7,000 guitar in front of a lavish studio setup with some rope lighting in the background while his parents are cooking him dinner downstairs. There's a lot of Amp Sim demos. I feel like you're hearing that quad track. You're hearing, the quad track perfect guitar takes. You're hearing, very produced. It's a very produced sounding venture. And I've always appreciated very raw sounding demos. Just show me what the product does when I take it out of the fucking box. And today we're after something different. We're doing something that we're going to do probably, if this is fun for you guys, I think we might consider doing it every Saturday or once a week, once every couple of weeks. This is basically going to be whole sessions how we're going to show you how to get your favorite tones for your favorite genres, favorite artists, favorite albums, even your favorite small part of an album. I've had people come to me and say, "Hey man, I'm listening to this song and there's this section from 249 to 312. It's only like 45 seconds, but I'm really struggling at getting this sound. I want that sound. I don't know how to do it with just a plugin. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know anything about the gear they're using. Can you help me?" And I've definitely taken some time to listen to stuff and been like, oh, I know exactly what that guy's doing or pretty close to what he's using. And you report back and say, well, sounds like he's using a Strat in the middle pickup selection. And then he's using what seems to be probably like a Fender or some random sounding clean tone. There's a phaser on there. And here's how you're going to do that with plugins. That's what we're doing today. So if you're in the viewership today and you want to throw something at me after the first couple, we're going to show you how I chase tones with plugins. We're going to show you exactly how I do it when I go after the tones of albums and the tones of artists and genres that I really like. And it's not always very easy, guys. It's not. I'm going to tune up here as well. I thought I had this in D. Why is this in E flat all of a sudden? Weird. In any event, guys, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Today, we're going to be chasing some tones, as mentioned. And I'm going to do a couple of examples. I grabbed my EMG 81 18 volt modified cheap ass RG. Why do I have my cheap ass RG with an EMG in it? Well, because it's quite simply, you can put an EMG 81 in anything. Whenever you see it, sure, this pickup is in a lot of really nice guitars. No doubt that on that whatsoever. A lot of really nice guitars have EMG 81s in them. And the thing is, though, you can take this fucking pickup and put it in a goddamn hockey stick. And yes, that exists. Go on, just right up here in the search. You can search hockey stick EMG. And this guy literally gents a whole After the Burial song with nothing but an EMG and a hockey stick. Ridiculous. It's a goalie stick too, so it looks fucking unbelievable. All right, I'm going to get to the comments in a second. So essentially what I'm after today is I'm Rammstein, and I'm going after I'm also going to go after some Slayer, and both of those bands, for the most part, EMG 81 is going to be what you're after for that. Although Paul Landers has not always used EMG, he's always used, for the most part, he was a passive pickup guy. He was using the Music Man guitars for a long time, and then he became more of a Les Paul kind of guy. All right, hold on. Let me get to the comments here. I don't want to make you guys feel like you're talking to nobody. Tonne Guitarra, thank you for being first seas today. First! Pedro, nice to see you. Xander Bananas, dude, it's super nice to see you. Auto-tune part sounds like the music that plays around here. I hate auto-tune. A little bit is fine, but too much. I disagree with you, Tonne. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think when I hear a little bit of auto-tune, that pisses me right the fuck off. That means that singer can't sing. When I hear a lot of auto-tune, I laugh at it because it's a fucking hilarious style when they really crank it up and it's all, like T-Pain and fucking Cher and stuff. That stuff's hilarious to me. I laugh my ass off at that. And I think that is a style. When somebody uses auto-tune like that, where they're like basically playing the vocals, I think it's hilarious. I've got time for it. When I hear a little bit of auto-tune, or when I hear a serious singer trying to disguise the fact that they're using a lot of auto-tune, that drives me crazy. Because it's just like, man, I understand that it saves time in the studio, you're on budgets and everything else like that, but like, you're starting to hear it in power metal, and I don't like it. I'm just going to make that known right now. Even the smallest bit, the tiniest scrap or scrimp of auto-tune on a power metal album pisses me off, because those dudes are supposed to be able to fucking sing their asses off. The guitar player, those guitar players, those keyboard players, those bass players, and those drummers in power metal bands have all done their homework. Those dudes all shred, absolutely shred, and they are playing their asses off, practicing their asses off to get that good and put on that kind of a show. And then you get the singer that's going to mail it in and just round off the edges a little bit every once when they're sharp or fucking flat. Fuck that. So I will disagree, sir, and that's okay. We are adults. We can disagree. But I think that if you're going to use a little bit, just don't use it at all and practice and really get those takes the way they should be. Instead of being like, yeah, that's good enough, we'll round it off with auto-tune later. Fuck that. I also don't like seeing auto-tune in a live setting. The very first time I ever saw a rig with like a sound guy come in with auto-tune units, we literally sat there laughing. It was a metal-ish band. Stutterfly, they were called. And they had three full racks of auto-tune stuff. This was, mind you, some time ago now. But I remember thinking to myself, really? These guys are using auto-tune in like a bar of 500 capacity? Who are you? This is dumb. That you could hear it correcting and stuff. It's stupid. I don't like it. But when I hear like those, hip hop and metal background vocals that are just auto-tuned into oblivion, I like that. I've got time for that as well. So I'm glad we could have that talk about auto-tune. The auto-tune. Okay. Xander Bernard, it's nice to see you, man. You don't need to apologize to me. when I hear auto-tune, I'm waiting to see their SoundCloud link. That's great. Hey, I've got SoundCloud, motherfucker. Just kidding. So you might be wondering what's on the screen right now. This is a bit of a different bird. I'm going to show you guys from scratch, as if I have not researched Rammstein at all. I'm going to go through. Here's the one thing I can't find, though. The funny thing is, I was able to find the first time I did a tone chase and search on Rammstein. And by the way, I'm going to continue saying it with an accent because I just don't want to be that guy that calls the band Rammstein. I just think, why don't you just become that person that calls it die Antword? I can't do it. I have to pronounce things phonetically in the way that they're supposed to be pronounced. I just can't do that. I can't go out like that. So we're going to be saying Rammstein. So when I last did the tone search on this band, I found a full list of settings for the Sansamp unit for Paul Lander's guitar tone. And it was really easy. It was just bop, 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 boppity boop, and then you were there. But in this case, we're not going to have that because I can't actually find it this time, which is strange because I don't remember what I searched for last time. Either way. So these days, Paul Landers is using his own signature Tech 21 Sansamp unit. It's his fly rig. He literally, you might be thinking, hold up, stop. I watched a time-lapse video of people setting up the Rammstein shows, and it was like 3 days it took them to set those shows up. Do you mean to tell me his only rig on stage is a fly rig from Tech 20? Yes, as a matter of fact. Shaking out my wrist today. I didn't play disc golf, and now my wrist is angry. As mentioned several times, I have a chronic fracture in my wrist, and I've apparently had it for the better part of half my life. And I'm getting surgery in the fall, but you're going to see me shaking it out a little bit more often as I've been playing a little bit more disc golf. Anyways, so yes, as a matter of fact, at one point in time, Paul Landers was using this Soldano amp of some sort. It's actually something I've never even heard of, so we can talk about that as we go. But we're going to get started as to how we would look up into a tone chase if you're sitting there and all you have is access to plugins. Like myself, I can't use analog amps in my life. Someone could give me the nicest amp, and I could not. I have no use for it, no room for it. I would love to have an amp collection that's all like wired into everything. I can just flip them on and it goes to a load box and woo! But nope, can't do that. Don't have that. If you're the guy that's kind of like me and many others, when all you have is the space and the means to use plugins, but you really want to get a very specific tone of a very specific artist or genre that you just cannot nail. We're here for you, but Google is your friend, and I'm going to show you where to start. One thing to look up. This is one thing where, you know, those memes where it's like it's just, you know, somebody that did a Reddit post like 12 years ago that only like 6 people commented on, but somehow you found your way there and it saved you from in your tone chase. Like, this is where that stuff will come in handy as well. But the main character here is going to be very simple, and that is Equipboard. Equipboard is the absolute 100% is all and ends all finding how your favorite artists get those sounds. Here's one thing to think about though. Remember, on every album you're hearing multiple amps. What bands use live is not always what they use on an album. And in some cases, bands use nothing. Like, look at Pantera, for example. That band used the same gear live, and then they went and take that gear and they put it back in storage. Same gear in the studio for almost every album. The same bass rigs, mostly the same drum kits, the same guitar rigs for the most part. And that stuff would just get put away and stored very safely and securely while they went on tour with a bunch of other gear. And then just get something close live. Especially if you're marketing something new as your signature amps and so on. In this case, we're looking for Rammstein. So we are going to click that in. And we're going to go, okay, for example, Richard Zenkrusp. This is, of course, one of the one of the 2 guitar players, rather. Why did I say many? No idea. We're off. We're off. I was just watching a live video from 1997 of Rammstein. And they're at the Pink Pop Festival. And the guitar player was, no joke, using a base model Kirk Hammett guitar. The bolt-on, they're very clearly endorsed by ESP at the time, but this is 1997 where they didn't have their SIG models yet. But it was pretty interesting that he was using like a $400 or $500 guitar live on stage in front of, 20, 50,000 people, however many were at that festival. Now, one thing about Richard, his entire career, I'm going to call him Richard like I know him. We're going to go out for beers later. He's used a lot of Metallica's guitars. I'm guessing that he's a big fan of Metallica, or was in his youth, because he's used a lot of their signature guitars. Now, one thing about all of his signature guitars, and that's never changed, is he's always used the EMG 81 in the bridge. Whereas Paul Landers was passive pickups for a while, and he kind of swapped. But yeah, and this guy, one thing about him as well, we're going to go to amplifiers, because guitar's not that important apart from the pickups that are being used. That can be a huge thing, a huge obstacle in your way of finding the tone that you're after. If you're using an EMG 81 and you're trying to get the tone of, like, say, a Brad Paisley, that's not going to happen for you. You know what I mean? If you are using single coil pickups and trying to get the tone of Slayer, that's not going to happen for you. You know what I mean? There's certain things that are crucial in your tone searching, and in this case, EMG 81 plus rectifier. He swapped and went back and forth between dual and triple rectifiers, but because the majority of plugins are based on the dual rec, we're going to stick with the dual rec for now. And those were two huge portions of his gear for most of his career and up to current. I think, I actually do think that there's a blend now going on, though. He's doing a weird thing where he's blending some Kemper Profiler with rectifier. Like, part of his tone, I was watching one of his, that's another thing we're going to get to right up here in the search bar. If you're looking and you want to know what your favorite artist is using, type it in up here. Artist gear. Same as you're going to do on Google, but I'm just going to skip you the step of having to Google it, because the first selection in that search is normally going to be Equipboard. I'm going to show you how to use this site to your advantage. Man, the Richie Kotzen fly rig would be cool. Very cool, actually. I've heard nothing but great things about all those Tech 21 fly rigs. But yeah, going back to it, this dude literally walks up to a stage. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to think that this guy, Paul Landers, not Richard Cruz, Paul Landers walks on stage, onto a stage that just took 3 days to build, with these giant balls that make fucking lightning and shit. And the guy just walks up with his little bag, pulls out his his Tech 21 fly rig, plugs it into presumably, a few other pieces of his rig. I don't think it's as simple as him just walking on stage and plugging in the fly rig. There's probably a noise gate and wireless and some sort of rack case of some items. But it really could be as simple as walking on stage and plugging in your fly rig and then just giving her. Because he says he also just will sit on the plane, and he's like, I'll sit on the plane and I'll just plug my headphones into it and it's all in one. Whereas Richard Krusp has always been rectifiers for the most part. If you're going back in the day, we can see here that he used a few different amps. Here's one that I've never heard of, and I'd like to know more about this. Is Bo in the chat yet? If Bo's not in the chat yet, I would be awesome if there's amp nerds out there who knows something about the Soldano Decatone triple channel amp head. That sounds interesting. I've never heard of that amp. This is the other funny thing, is that you'll notice that, there's a lot of stuff that pops up here. And a lot of this has to be verified. Here's another one I've never heard of, the Soldano Avenger. What is this now? I've never heard of that either. Has anybody heard of these amps? Yeah. Anyways, weird amps I've never fucking heard of in my entire life. You'll notice there's a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that there's, honestly, some of it you'll notice down here. It says exclusive gear from the private collection. So this is stuff, you're getting down into some of the stuff that he uses in his private collection. And, you know, like sometimes they'll have reverb auctions and people will go crazy on the reverb auctions, you know, and they'll finally know, you know, different stuff they could have used on albums. And that was where we're going to get to. If you're listening to an album, it's tough. I would say listen to a band's live sound and find their live sound you really like. Try to figure out what they're using live instead, because in an album at any given time, you could be hearing a blend of 4 amps in that rhythm section. You could be hearing all kinds of different things. You could be hearing, for example, on the Rammstein albums, you could be hearing the tri-axis. You could be hearing the Mark series amp blended in. You know, there's a lot of ways that they can blend and tweak things to sound bigger just for albums, right? You know, oftentimes these guys go into studios where there's collections of like 100 different amps for them to use, or they have a gear rental place where they can get any amp that's, you know, any amp known to man. So here, if we click on the ADA and it says in this picture, where's the picture? More. Okay, so right here, this is where these things come from. Okay. Why is this gear on this list? Well, you'll see here, it says below, in this picture, Richard can be seen with 2 ADA MP1s in his rack. You'll notice that right over here, and you'll notice his rectifiers behind him and some Soldanos on top of those rectifiers. Things you can do when you have a guitar tech that gets paid, probably, you know, paid really well, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and the unlimited budget to buy any gear you want. As far as I know, he's not an endorsed artist from Mesa. I don't think. I think he's always blended and always had the freedom, but he could be now. But all of his signature guitars, that's one thing about this dude, is that all of his signature guitars are absolutely sick. The newest one is super cool. Tell me what you think in the comments about, except for this one. What the hell is this? See, this is what I love about this. What the hell is this? Let's go to the screen. What in the hell is that? That must have been for like a video shoot or something. That's just like somebody. Oh boy, we got a hairball. We got a hairball here. All right. So now we're going to start playing guitar eventually, but I'm just showing you how I get started. Find the gear they use, and then you Google, then you would Google settings and see if you can find some settings for that gear. Are you done? Can you be done now? This guy. Anyways, guys, we're moving. Okay, so I'm going to go to, now I know what I'm using for his side. Now we're going to go back. And I'm going to go to Paul Landers. And I know he used, so this is the unit that we have. We have the GT2. And this is the GT2 right here. This is what he used before he had his his signature fly rig. This is what he was using for a really long time, was this bad boy right here. And this thing is really cool. It's different sounding, we'll say that. And so you notice here he used a lot of, well, Eddie Van Halen model Wolfgang looking guitars prior to EVH doing his own kind of thing. Remember, he was with Music Man. And then of course Paul Landers also has his signature Gibson. This thing's interesting. You notice it just has a kill switch on it. There's no volume, no tone, no nothing. There's just a 3-way switch, pair of EMGs, and a kill switch, which is kind of interesting. It's interesting to me to not see a guitar to see a guitar that has a kill switch instead of a volume. Or in the case of like the Carl Sanders models with Dean, I don't even think there's a kill switch. I think it just goes like that. To me is kind of bananas. Like you need a volume pedal to work with that guitar. That to me, I'm just no bueno. I could not do. Need something to be able to shut the signal off apart from a volume pedal. But in this case, that looks kind of nifty. Very cool looking Les Paul. And I realized that I didn't even know this existed. And on top of not knowing that it existed, I went looking for it, and this thing is rare, boys. It's a rare guitar. I couldn't find this guitar anywhere for sale. Maybe you guys will have more luck, but I'd be interested to know. Like it says here, you search on all these. I did all the searches, and they all came up nothing. So we know what he uses now as well. If what I can find is the settings that I found before. I also know that he used the 100 watts Avenger head for a bit. And so we're going to go we're going to have some fun with this on our own. Xander Bananas, wait, never mind, I saw you using Kempers. Yeah, they're using Kempers, but I think they're using Kempers with their normal rigs. I know that Paul Landers for sure is still using his signature fly rig. Yeah, I've heard that the brand new Axe Effect sounds ridiculously good. All right, guys, we're going to get to it now. Finally going to get to some guitar. Okay, perfect. That is a bit... Signal's way up. Signal's still up. Going to bring it back there. Okay, let's get to this. This is the Black Rooster Audio GAGT2. And this comes from, this thing is old, and it is one of the, kind of the original headphone ampy type things. It was a one space rack. It did phenomenally well. It competed. It also came in like the section, the pedal version. And this thing competed with like your ADA, but it was very simplistic in how it works. So we're just going to mess around and find out what sounds best. Okay, folks? And Matt, you might be thinking right now, wow, that is not any kind of Rammstein I've ever heard. The other myth with, I think the other myth and thing to watch out for with getting tones for Rammstein is also the fact that they don't use as much gain as you think. And we got a pretty good tone with it at one point. So that's getting pretty close to where I think he was kind of living. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound super good. And I'd agree with you that it's a less conventional sound for sure. But when you blend this, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to getting your favorite band's sound. Oftentimes there are two different sounds at play. Very seldom will you see two guitar players using the same rig and the same settings. That just doesn't make a lot of sense as far as like sonically taking advantage of two different guitar players. You're going to want one guitar player to run more of a scooped with some more low end and a little more sizzle. And then the other guy potentially using something that's with a little bit flatter and then with something in that more of a mid-range, right? And when you're using two different sounds, that's kind of a nice way for them to complement and fill each other in and really give that bigger sound. In this case, we're going to have a little more fun because we're in plug-in land and we can. We're going to turn off the cab sim. We're going to turn on our own cab sim here and use our own IR. And we're getting there. This is just my very favorite Mesa Boogie oversized cabinet library. This is from ML Sound Lab. However, for a really good free one, in fact, maybe one of the best paid or free IR libraries out there, go get Wilkinson Audio God's Cab. It's free and it's an amazing, absolutely incredible. There's no mix. You have to make your own blends, and to make your own blends is very simple. You can use a number of different loaders that are out there to make your own blends, and there are it's pretty easy to do. So this is how I would pull off Paul Lander's guitar tone. This would be the Black Rooster Audio. And I don't really like the cab sim that much, so I turned it off. I'm going to use my own instead, use my own loader, and load it up one of my very favorite Mesa OS libraries. This is the Mega OS from ML Sound Lab. We got this thing sounding pretty good, folks. Like, really good. And I'm assuming because the rectifier handles that really natural scooped sound, that natural gigantic low end, that natural gigantic, that big valley of a sound, even if you bring the mids on a rectifier up, it's still going to sound pretty scoopy, right? So in that case, I'm assuming that Richard Crusp's side of the tone handles the big valley with, the sizzle, and being that this is quite flat and quite, you can really hear the mids. Really isn't a mid control period. So it's kind of just hardwired in one position. And there really is not a very natural scoop sound here. So I'm assuming that his side of the guitar tone is handling that flat with the mid boost, and Richard Cruz is handling the side that's got the nice scoop sound to it. So this is actually a lot better than I thought we were going to get today. I'm not even boosting it. Just for fun, let's boost it. You're not really in. What? You're good. Come on in. The miss is going to come in and play some Oblivion. I don't really like that. I want to see. Let's try the Unify preamp for just to see for some funskies. That's really nice. I'm almost in the way too, eh? Look. And I know that this isn't exact. I know that he didn't use this, but we're just having some fun right now. Let's see. Yeah, 100%. This is awesome. Il Myers, how are you? Rectum. Do you remember Ramfire? I remember Ramfire from Native Instruments. It actually was the only thing in Guitar Rig that ever sounded good. Otherwise, Guitar Rig has always been just an absolute fucking waste of everyone's money and time. It's a garbage plugin from a company that just does not care about guitar. They just don't. They make a lot of really cool stuff, Native Instruments, but Guitar Rig is not one of those cool things. Which is crazy because they could, if that company wanted to flex, that company's got some change to throw around. If that company wanted to flex and was like, we're going to start competing on the amp sim industry, rather on the amp sim market, we're going to start competing right there. It'll be fine. And we're going to start signing some signature artists. We're going to get a coder to somebody that really knows amp sim developer. We're just going to pay. They could do that. That's the funny thing. They don't care. They don't care about guitar. And that's okay. Not everybody has to. But if you don't care about guitar, don't release things for guitar. Don't separate people from their money, right? And I'm pretty impressed with this tone right now. This is from the Black Rooster Audio GA-GT2. Here's the other thing. If you're after a particular tone where they're using gear that does not yet exist on the plugin market, then you're either shit out of luck, or in the case you have to supplement something for something. In the case of Children of Bodom, for example, because the Lee Jackson GP 100 or 1000, I can't remember what the thing is called, but that thing has not yet been done. But you can get really friggin' close with the JMP1, which is the JMP Pro from Nembrini Audio. We can get really close with that, which we could also try to tone shoot a little bit. We were talking about Children of Bodom recently, actually. Guitar Rig is good for everything. Guitar Rig is good for everything but guitar. Hey, bro, have you ever tried Howler by August Rose Audio? Yes, I have tried it. It's very cool, but there's 5 or 6 other things in that slot that I think sound just as awesome. At least in my opinion. I'd like to see, has anybody tried his King plugin? I have yet to, I haven't really heard much about it, and it'd be cool to hear more about it. But yeah, I don't know. I've reached out to him a couple times in the past, and he's never returned my email. So I'm just waiting for things to be on sale so I can pick them up. But I'm not going to pick them up unless somebody's like, really, man, you really need to try this. It's fucking awesome. And then I would say, okay, well then that gives me a reason. But if I don't have a reason to go and buy another Marshall plugin, I don't need another Marshall plugin. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is definitely where I parked my car. So if you want Paul Lander's tone in a plugin, this is how I'm doing it. I don't need to use the unified preamp, but in fact, it's probably a lot more legit without a plugin, without a pedal plugin in front, because he doesn't use one, and it does add. But if you like this tone and you want to see how you could even add to it to make it even a little bit heavier, that unified preamp or just a simple screamer out in front like the Green Reaper here. Sick. So if you want it just for Rammsteining, yeah, no problem. This is roughly where I was gonna say that you would park your car. The drive's got to be all the way up. I would say off axis or center in the mic. For mod, I would say hot wired, high gain. Just hot wired or high gain will get you there. Cali is what you're gonna be looking at for the amp. I turned the cab sim off and went after my own sound with the Mega OS pack from ML Sound Lab, and it's pretty easy going. This is pretty close, folks. Actually, his has got a little bit more sizzle So I'm just gonna give that a notch. I just duffed that because I'm watching her play Oblivion in the corner of my eye. I'm just like, hey, what's she doing? That looks fun. In the market. This plugin is the only one. This plugin is the only plugin on the market today, right now, that does the SansAmp GT2. There's a freebie that does the PSA 1, and it's Windows only. It's Windows only, and it's from, actually, if you can still find it, it's called the SoftAmp PSA 1 or something. It's SoftAmp PSA. Do I have it installed is the question. SoftAmp. Do I have it? No, I don't. I don't. AXP SoftAmp. I don't have it installed right now, so go check it out. It's legit. It does sound pretty awesome. But that being said, this one is very affordable. So let's go and see how much this is right now. Black Rooster Audio. Okay. All right. So this is products. And this is going to run you probably not a lot because this company's very, very, very well priced. Very affordably priced. Here it is. $42 at regular price. It's 42 Canadian dollars as well. So that'd be like 35 American dollars or 30 American dollars or something to that effect. And that's cheap. And this is, honestly, it's a lot of fun. If you want to give it more like a tube character, you can also kind of play around with something like if you want to build we can do this. Got the TPA1 involved here, and we can just stick it like we would stick between the preamp and the cab. And then we're just going to go and select maybe our KT88 tubes. And so here's without. Let's see what we got without it. And I know you heard the volume dip a little there because I've got it set back a bit. .6L6 voicing. Be playing the shit out of the Lynx riff today, guys. It is what it is. Fight me. Hi, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here in this wonderful Saturday. We're going to move on to Richard Crisp's sound. And for that, I've chosen the Wavemind Amp Suite Rev F, and I've disabled the cab. And because I want to use my own, I'm going to use this very same library right here, the Mega OS. And again, I'm not going to look it up. You could look up Richard Crisp's rectifier settings, but I didn't really find anything dead bang on. There's a lot of just speculation of how you might do it. I'm going to go ahead and use the orange channel. And we're going to go like that. All right, let's see what we got here. And that is exactly what I think Richard Crisp's sound is going to be doing in that mix is going to be handling that big fat low end and the high sizzle with that deep valley in the mids in there. Like with a rectifier, it really doesn't matter where you set the mid control. It's always going to be a scoop sounding amp. It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good indeed. So orange to modern. We're going to go orange to modern. It's going to be a little louder, I think. Yep, it is. So we have to make sure that we go back. And we're just going to watch that just a little bit there. Wheel this back a little bit as well. All right, so this is basically where I think in the ballpark of where his tone's going to be living. And you're right, you might be thinking that's not a ton of distortion, a ton of gain, and he really doesn't use that much. It's just the two guitars together sound just so massive. I really don't think he's using as much gain as you might think. So we're also going to play around with the IR here a little bit. I didn't want to showcase this amp sim again until the update came out, because I know that Wavemind has a huge update planned for this bad boy. If you're curious as to what that entails, there's going to be more mics. I believe more cabs as well. More mics, more cabs in the cab section, as well as a bunch of performance stuff. It's going to be fun. Just know that is one of the things that that Wavemind has on the go, and that is to update this bad boy right here and make it even better. Currently, I just genuinely believe this is my favorite rectifier on the market today. You can disagree with me if you'd like. That's no problem. We can do that because we're adults. Tell me in the comments, which rectifier do you think beats this one? I would love to hear it, because I mean, there are some really great rectifiers and some strong feelings on all of them. The one in Mercurial Amp Box is fan-friggin-tastic. I would use that one to go after. Rammstein, as well as the Nembrini Audio Cali Dual. 100%, you can use that one. I think I used that one in the last time we had this conversation. BJ Russell. Now, BJ would be the guy to ask if you want to find out how to do Smashing Pumpkins in a plug-in form. I can think of a really good way that could be all done in one package. Hey, BJ? Just kidding, buddy. But if you were curious, this guy definitely has some ideas of how you might make those sounds work in just the comfort of your own home and your DAW. So if you have any questions about how you might get basically any era of Smashing Pumpkins tone in the comfort of your own home and your DAW, do pop that in the comments, and I'm sure BJ would be willing to help you out. He's a super smart dude. And he also has a wonderful channel, although I always mess up the name of the channel, so he can post it. He has a YouTube, or sorry, an Instagram. I'm not sure about YouTube, but he does sort of a gear worship and playing worship to Smashing Pumpkins, and he covers the songs superbly. Yeah, Mercurial it is hard to beat. That would be awesome for sure. All right, so what we're doing right now is we're just kind of showing you guys how I tone hunt and how I tone chase. And it operates mostly around, I'm just noticing that he has the Mesa Boogie Strategy 500 power amp here. So he must have been at some point using the GTA or the GTR2 or whatever it was there through the Strategy 500. I want to go look at that. See, we were sitting there talking, and then I just wanted to go look. Where's the picture? Oh, here's the YouTube. It's 1996. Well, yeah, 1996. He was probably using... That's the other thing. If you're seeing bands playing live from early in their career, they could have been on a bunch of just like you'll notice when you look up a band and they've used a lot of different stuff over the years, because like everything they've ever used will show up on here. No matter, like, especially if you're one thing you want to take with a grain of salt, guys, is when you notice that in here it says live they use this or that, and you notice that the video is from a festival. And it's, you know, this is getting a little crazy with the tone hunt, but follow me on this one because it is kind of key. Prior to the invention of really good sounding mobile rigs like Kemper's, Axe Effects, and stuff like that, prior to that, a lot of bands that would come from the States or North America and go over to Europe, vice versa, European bands coming to North America, a lot of those bands would rent gear or share backlines with bands they were touring with, and various other ways to save on, shipping their gear. Most bands don't have the budget to ship all of their gear overseas, so they would rent gear. And so it's just like I've seen a lot of it on here. Where it's like so and so used a 5150 when he was playing at this. You notice the video is from a festival, and then you'll notice that the 5150 is one of the easiest amps to rent anywhere for a very long time. And a lot of bands, when they're like, do you have this? No. Do you have that? No. Can I rent this? No, we don't have that. Do you have a 5150? Yeah, we got lots of those. All right, cool. Just make it work. And so that would be things that would tend to happen. So take that with a grain of salt. Not everything on here is the gospel. You'll notice underneath when you click on more, needs review, which means somebody from the band or somebody that knows some things need to confirm that this stuff is legitimate. And you can like edit submissions and stuff as well until things have been locked in. So this is, again, pretty cool. I noticed a Bogner in here. I don't know when he used that. In this video for Native Instruments, Paul says his favorite model to use in guitar rig is the ultrasonic. Okay, so that's really silly that this is on this list. So just because in a video that he was a paid spot with Native Instruments, and he said he liked a Bogner model in the plugin. This was like 15 years ago. See, this is things you have to take with a grain of salt. Okay, moving on. We're going to move on to a different artist in a few minutes. We got there pretty quick with this because I think Richard Crisp's sound is pretty, like, this, to me, if we go back and forth, this is one, this is two. Hold on a little bit. That's one. And then the other one, the Rev F. When you blend those two together, man, it'll be sweet. I don't have the opportunity. I don't have the chance to like hit play on a couple of DIs right now. I should have probably done that, but I don't know. You guys get the point that you can mix these two sounds together. And then as you go, if you're mixing with it, just have them both running and just go back and forth and really make them fit together. And I would just listening to these two tones, I can just tell that they would blend really, really well. I noticed the presence is too high here though. Oh, sorry, over here. Let's turn the presence down. And it's a little bit too shiny there. And because he doesn't use a boost pedal, you really got to take care of your low end. I know a lot of people will use rectifiers with like reckless abandonment for that low end, but I'm telling you that bass control it's got so much headroom. And if you're running that bass control above 5, there might be an issue. Okay, so the rectifier bass control need to stay back, especially if you're not using a boost. And then for their cleaner tones, I would imagine, I don't even know what they would do for those. I should probably look that up. What do they use for their cleans? But in this case, we're not going to look it up. What did I use today to accomplish this? Well, there's a lot of rectifier plugins out there, and all of them are going to work a lot of them are going to work. When I look at which channel he was using, I'm gonna say he was probably using the red channel. He probably is. I'm not 100% on that though, and I think he prefers the triple rec over the dual rec. Says the dual rec is more tubby sounding. As I've just read a couple things. So again, where do we start? We're going to start with Equipboard. We're also going to type settings into Google. You want to do that as well. Make sure you type, Rammstein set rectifier settings, and a bunch of stuff will come up, and you'll just kind of, you can watch various videos. There's also John Simons, who did a video on just this, how to do it with amps, not just plugins. So you could go and look at the settings he's using in his video, and then apply those to the plugin. If the plugin is realistic and authentic enough, you're going to be able to pull the settings from analog. That's one other thing. Don't ever get stuck on looking for, I know people will search how to get Neural DSP Nameless X sounding like Slayer, or something along those lines. Just look up the Slayer tones and try to put the Slayer tones to work in a different plugin. I think the Nameless X should actually be able to do Slayer, to be honest. We'll see what comes, because Slayer is the next tone on our list. The other thing I used today, so I used the Rev F, and then again, the Black Rooster Audio GAGT2. This thing is neat, and it sounds really good for leads as well. It has a really nice cutting sound where if you throw a nice delay in there. And that's still Rev. That's still the Rev. Let's go here. That really does cut through a mix really nicely. That mid-focus sound, bring the bass back a little bit. Go to British. That sounds really nice. To my ears, anyways. So that is how I would use, and I do use this on occasion for fun little lead parts. I think it's for my use, for my needs and such. This is really great for lead guitar. I've also used this in a thrash setting on one side with a Marshall on the other, and it was really cool there as well. So yeah, check this out, Black Rooster Audio. It's only like $30, and that's regular pricing. Check it out the next time you get a chance. They also have a ton of other stuff. Also a really great free orange sim called the Cypress TT15. You can check out over there as well. So let's get rid of that. We're going to get rid of the Rev F because we don't need it right now. We're going to go after the next tone we're going to be after is Slayer. And for Slayer, it's going to be just as simple as just trying to figure it out with an EMG and with the EMG 81 and the plugin. And we're going to add the TC Electronics booster. Yeah, I know that's quite quiet, guys. Just give me a sec here. All right, channel strip for here. We're going to use a 57, and we'll use the 414 as well. Keep in mind, theirs were modified. We're not using a modified. We're using just the soft tube version. It'd be cool if we had a modified version, but if we want something with more juice, I'm just using literally what they say in here. We'll go to Slayer. And Slayer are known for using the 2203, if I'm not mistaken, amplifiers. So you've got the Marshall Artist series. I have no idea what this amp is. I've never heard of the Marshall Artist 3203. Never heard of that amp ever. Hey, Zoom Corpse, what's going on, dude? Been a bit. Nice to see you. We're just chilling out today. We're tone chasing. And the place to start tone chasing for me is always Equipboard. And here I'm noticing the Marshall JCM 800-2203 and a number of cabinets. Pretty much the amp he used for the majority of his career. If Bo was here right now to be able to tell us exactly. But then I noticed the Marshall 1960B. I don't know exactly which cabinet is included with this plugin, but we could get more creative with our own IRs if we wanted to. At this point, I don't know that there's a need, but we can try at some point. And I think we'll be able to get there with just a quick boost from the unified preamp here. Let's see what we got. Oh, that didn't work. That wasn't what I wanted at all. Oops. That's not enough of the Jaus. They also have their guitars wired with a booster. There's like this, what is it? The EMG. Let's look and see if they have it in the electronics section. Studio equipment? No. Let's go with, would it be in effects pedals? No. Rack mount tuners. Yeah, there's no boost out front of any music accessories. Man, the old Peterson strobe. And we know that Slayer 100% used the EMG 81 in the bridge position. But I'm trying to find. Wow, what is this? I've never seen this before. Did you guys know this existed? The Jeff. Oh man, can you imagine trying to find one of these right now? Can you even imagine trying to find one of these right now? How much would you think it would cost you to find the Jeff Hanneman LTD JH600 EC? This thing is awesome. An Eclipse with a fucking Kaler. That's super fun. I wonder if you could, how much one of those would cost you at this point right now. Anyways, we're looking for, I'm going to see if they have it in here. Live setup accessories? No. Other gear? Here we go. We're getting to the pickups. Do they have? Yes, they do. BMG SPC presence control. But they also use something else. In Kerry King's, what's he using? There's the booster that he's using. I can't remember what it's called though. In any event, that's going to give you that extra bite. In this case, we're just going to try to do it with like a tube screamer or something. Now, that's not going to give me enough of the Z-Bolts. It's definitely the ones they were using were modified. So we're just going to try with where I know I'm going to be able to get the snaz from. And I'm going to be able to get it from right here. This is Spark. We're going to go to the 800. I know the 800 here is going to give me everything I need. So let's set it up and let's go to work. I don't need their cab. I'm going to use my own cabinet. Let's find a nice fucking Marshall. And again, so we can choose to use whatever we want as far as, cabs goes. I'm trying to think. A Marshall cab I really like. A 1960B I really like. Let's go to Red Wires. No. Let's go to York Audio. And actually, well, he was also using, you know what I'm going to use? We're going to go with the MF cap. That's what I'm going to do instead. We're going to go with the Mofo. Because I know they were using this for a bit too. The Mode 4 cab. Let's see what we can do here. This might sound pretty fun. Let's see. That's loud. Sorry, folks. Don't need that. But again, I'm not getting the stones that I want out of this right now. That's not sounding too bad. Still pretty rock sounding, but then again, Slayer didn't really use that much gain. There we go. That's sounding a little bit better. All right, now I need to scoop that out a bit. And a little bit less low end. That's going to get me a little bit more flat as well. I'm going to need that to wire that back. That's sounding in the ballpark. You might be thinking, why don't I just go after the Kerry King signature amp sim from Softtube? Well, because it's discontinued, and it also doesn't really get you all the way there for that classic Slayer sound. It's got, if I'm understanding it correct, his Kerry Kings, I'm not sure if Jeff Hanneman, can someone go look that up? If Bo is here to tell you, he'd have it. What is Laboga 100-watt amp? What do you mean? That's a pretty broad question. Yeah, it would be a pretty good timing for you. As I know, Exhumed Corpse is a huge Slayer fan. From way, way back. How many times have you seen Slayer, Mr. Exhumed Corpse? I'm just curious. So yes, anyway, Slayer uses a bit more of a flat sound, a bit flatter of a sound than you might think. So I'm going to wheel that back as well. Now, that's still too shiny. We're getting close. In any event, you're going to find yourself a modified Marshall, and these days they're coming out fast and furious. All right, guys, so throw it at me. We're getting to that time where we're going to discuss in how just give me some fresh meat. If I can't do it, I'm going to be honest, I can't do it. But if you give me some fresh meat, give me something to go after. Which tone am I trying to get for you today, or trying to work on today? I might not be able to do it with this guitar. If I have to switch guitars, I've got to switch guitars. Whatever. If I've got something close, so throw something at me. Only twice? Yeah, twice I would say. Seeing Slayer twice is enough. I have to think. Three times? 3 times. Montreal. I saw them with Machine Head when I was like 17. I saw them with a bunch of different bands in Minneapolis. And I saw them in Montreal with Fear Factory. Yeah. Mastodon. Ouch. Mastodon's going to be tough, dude. Because those guys use lots of different gear. And they all those guys are definitely, when it comes to like tone is in the hands. But let's go. Mastodon. These guys use lots of different, I know there's going to be a lot of orange. And Bill Kelleher has his signature amp, and I don't even know if he uses it anymore. So we're in Bill Kelleher amplifiers. Bill has used all of these amplifiers. He's used, and I think he's using multiple amps on stage these days. We could just go watch like a rig rundown. I'm sure they're a big enough band where they've probably got a really nice rig rundown. So we're just going to kind of skim the surface of what it would take to get their tone. I would definitely need to go get a different guitar, but we're going to try to just kind of discuss it first. Now, I don't know when. Okay, for his 2-amp lineup, Kelleher went with an 80s Marshall JCM 800 and a Marshall Kerry King. So this is like at one point. This is at one point what he was using. Okay, so there's a bunch of different rig rundowns on Mastodon. And this has been corrected and verified, by the way. And remember, when it comes to Kerry King's rig, his 2203, his amps have always been modified with a KT88 tube section. And that is, if you're not 100% in the know when it comes to tube sounds, KT88s sound very different from EL34s, which is the traditional British tube that goes into the majority of Marshall amps. And then the heads blast through 2 Mills Acoustics 412s. Again, this is not something I can do with plugins because I don't have access to IRs based on Mills Acoustics cabinets. Does that even exist? Let's find out. Mills Acoustics. Oh, acoustics. Mills Acoustics. IRs. No. Oh, no. Mills Acoustics. No. No. Although the Mills Acoustics Afterburner is looking like it's a highly sought after amp. Highly sought after guitar cabinet. Let's look. I'm very curious. Color me curious. Speaker cabinets, guitar cabinets. Oversized. Wow, those things look cool, man. That looks like it was made by a dude that enjoys craft beer. Anyways, we're doing tone. You guys asked for a tone search. This is how deep I get when I'm trying to figure it out. Now, then he became a Friedman guy, and I think he's still a Friedman guy, and he's got the Friedman Butter Slacks. Now, the Friedman Butter Slacks is an amp, rather, that I've been wanting to see in plug-in form for such a long fucking time. Please, can we have some signature Friedman stuff? Be it the Steve Stevens, the Jerry Cantrell, the Bill Kelleher. Give me some signature Friedman, because I've heard the Jerry Cantrell amp sounds fucking-normous. So yeah, I don't know if this is still, can you still buy the Butter Slacks? You can. For four grand doesn't seem like a bad deal for this amp. If I was an amp collector, I would have thought this amp would be more than 4 grand. So in any event, I don't know anything about this amp at all and how it differs from the regular HBE or BE models, etc. I really don't know. So, I really don't know. So I understand, as I understand it, he's constantly blending 2 different amps and 2 different cabinets on stage. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just one side of the tone. We're not even at Brent Hines yet. So this is fun though. So but we all know that they also use a lot of orange, and we all know that there is a ton of orange really good orange IRs on the market today. There's tons of them. Friedman BE100, 1965 Super in this. Bill says he uses Super Reverb. So the other thing about Bill Kelleher is he's an amp collector, and he's got his own little studio or big studio. I'm not sure if it's how big it is. But as far as I'm looking at, let's just go. The best way to get the Kerry King, Kerry King signature amp sound is to go buy the plugin before it goes extinct. I think you can still get it on Plugin Boutique. So I would say that that's a good start. If you want to get that sound. Next, the Adlaney VH100R. You want to get this sound. I believe it's in Amp Hub from STL Tones. That would be the best way to go do that. The JCM 800 2203X. I don't know much about this particular amplifier. Let's find out about this amp. I know nothing about it. Was this just like a money grab? Okay. I don't know how this differs from your average 800. Either way, I'm not 100% sure. But if you're going the average 800, my favorite is Spark. Your favorite might be something else. As far as these Friedmans go, the best Friedman sounds you're going to get on the plugin market today are located in Amp Hub. Right now, they just added the HBE, I think it is, to that, and it sounds awesome. It really does. Another way you might get close to a Friedman-y type sound is buying the brand new Aurora DSP Laboga Diamond sound. That is actually gets you some of those pretty close to those Friedman-y type sounds. Another way would be using potentially the Neural DSP Kali suite. That one would probably get you pretty close as well to that Friedman sound, that modified Marshall sound. A lot of plugins that have those modified Marshall kind of, you get the extra brightness, the extra this, the extra that, mid bumps. That is going to get you in that Friedman department. The one from Brainworks, I've used it and reused, and I just don't like it. So that's up to you guys if you want to check that one out. As far as 1965 Super Reverb, not sure how you're going to get there. And as he mentioned earlier, I mean, he's got a lot of cabinets, guys. Like, lots of cabinets that he's used over the years, it seems. Mills Acoustics Afterburner Guitar Cabinet. This is it right here, apparently. The one I was looking at earlier doesn't look quite the same as that, but this is, as I understand it, something he enjoys using. So if you guys want to check it out, he's also used the orange PPC 412. Not hard to find packs based on that at all. The Laboga Diamond Sound, the amps are the Diamond Sound. It's the two diamonds. It's the Diamond Sound Anniversary 100 and the Diamond Sound 40. Hold on. Use the amp knob JVM for Slayer? Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Those just came out recently. Why not? I was going to go after some Metallica as well, but being that I'm getting some stuff thrown out here now, I'll just stick with that. JVM. So Bogren. And we'll fire up the BDM JVH. See what we got. Or are you talking about Mastodon? You're talking about Slayer or Mastodon? Yeah, man, that's Slayer. An 81 plus this plugin right here is going to get you, that gets you there, guys. Yeah, that definitely gets you there. Let's turn this up a bit and bring that input up a bit. Still a bit bright. The Slayer is going to be almost a little bit more flat. But yeah, you go listen to a Slayer album, you'll hear one guitar. They're not an overly scooped band. Older Slayer, first couple albums, yeah, but when you get to like Seasons and onward, they weren't really using the scoopies as much anymore. Do Andy Tibbins resolution tones? Wow. On Aurora, they have two amps. One is white, one is gold. And one is black and silver. Yeah, dude, right here. I'll show you. Like Laboga, I'm not sure if you knew, but look, Laboga is a real legit like company. Oh, wait. What? What do you mean? My connection is not safe. Go away. Okay. Let's go to amps. Diamond Sound. This website is slow. Is it listening? Is it working? It's working. All right. So here's the Diamond Sound. Here's the amp it's based on right here. One of the amps is based on this bad boy right here. Wow, this has taken some time. Big boy. In any event, you get it. This is the 50th anniversary DS100. And there's also the DS40 that's in here as well. So it's based on these amps. So if you want to know everything about those amps, just go straight to the Laboga website and they will explain every setting, everything to you in detail. Not that the plugin manual doesn't, but I'm telling you right now, just go to the website and you'll learn everything about those amps. I know for a fact you can get dead on Slayer tone from the Jumped Plexi Revolt DSP amps. And yeah, that's right. He got back to me. Shit. He finally got back to me. So I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm finally gonna get a chance to check out the Revolt stuff. And I will be doing another stream tomorrow because it's a long weekend here. So I'm gonna jump in here tomorrow and just test out all the Revolt DSP stuff from El Scratcho. I have not put 1 minute into those plugins yet. And as I understand, he's got something new coming that will excite fans of the company. And I'm excited to see what this stuff is like, because if this stuff is as quality as some people are saying, I'm very excited to find out. So Mastodon, we're going to go to Brent Hines now. And basically, I mean, I'm not going to go through and play every tone because I don't. With Mastodon, they have so many different sounds. There's a lot of fuzz. Brent Hines. There's so many different sounds they use, so many different pedals. I didn't even want to go into Bill Kelleher's pedals. So we've got the Marshall JMP Super Lead, of course, and Orange Amp Thunderverb 50. Thunderverb is, as far as I understand, the Aurora DSP Absalon series is based on a Thunderverb, but I cannot confirm that fully at this exact moment. There's that Diesel VH4 again. Of course. Let's see, amplifiers. 10 different amps he's used. The VH4. These guys, though, strike me as the type of guys that they change gear a lot. Like from tour to tour almost. If you go and watch live videos of Mastodon, you'll see some very different rigs, and the time periods aren't even that far apart. When I was doing some tone research on them a ways back, I noticed that like there was a video from like 2000, there was like 2020, and there was another video in 2022, and the gear was just phenomenally different throughout the whole thing. Orange Rocker Verb. Okay, in some pictures from this show they did on 2017. Let's see the photo. And this is this a festival? Metal Assault Festival. So again, here we are. It could have been, there's always a chance that there could be rented gear involved when you see festival. So just kind of trying to help you guys sift through some things. The Victory Amplification Sheriff. I've never heard of that amp. Silvertone model, Silvertone model 1484. If you want this, you're going to want to go and get the Line 6 Doom. Has this amp involved, and they call it the mail order twin. And they also have it in Line 6 Helix Native. And so he's got a lot of orange stuff here. Basically, it's all orange and Marshall. And this Victory, though, I'm interested in this amp. I kind of want to try this amp in its real form. This seems like it would be a take on a modified Marshall. Am I reading that wrong here? Let's look in the comments. Purple and a vintage charm. Yeah, blue, blah. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like it could be vintage gain and hot rod gain. Whenever I see the words hot rod and an amp, I think it's either going to be a Soldano or it's going to be a Marshall. And since Soldanos are originally kind of based on Marshall topology, I'm going to say that this right here, the way it's all painted up in gold, I think this one is going to be a Marshall clone. I'd like to hear what that amp sounds like, though. I'm always interested in a modified Marshall looking amp. Like, what's that thing sound like? I know what it's going to sound like, but I just want it. Yeah. Nice to see you guys. Really nice to see everybody here today. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being part of what we do here. I'm going to be here for a little bit longer today. I am going to take a break, and I'm going to switch guitars for funskis. And I will be back in just a few minutes, as you per the usual, midstream, take a little break. And so, yeah, smoke them if you got them. Grab yourself another beer or another glass of wine or another pop or whatever it is. Or grab yourself a sucker, if you'd like. Whichever it is, whatever you enjoy on your Saturday evenings, Saturday afternoons, go and do that. I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll do some more tone hunting, drop some more ideas. I saw the Andy Timmons comment in there, and I'm not overly familiar with Andy Timmons. Obviously, he's existed for a very long time, and I've heard sparing pieces of his music over the years. It's impossible to be 46 years old and as a guitarist and not have at least heard of Andy Timmons. It's impossible. I would call liars. You're a damn liar. You've heard of that. You've heard of that guitar player. It's like somebody saying they've never heard of Steve Vai. I've heard of Steve Vai, but if you could offer me $1 million and say all you need to do is name 5 Steve Vai songs, I'd be fucked. I'd be absolutely fucking screwed. 100% screwed. All right, so let's find a suitable break track here. Definitely not that one. Let's see, what are we going to do? Here we go. This sounds great. This is a great riff. And I love the way they switch from a 1 beat to a 2 beat in the chorus. It's wonderful. All right, here's some Tear. I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes, folks. Cheers. This is a fun song to play on the drums, folks. And it's a fun song to sing, too. I have done both of those things. I sang... We did a bunch of At the Gates covers in a band I was in for a little while. We covered actually a lot of this album. Just because the whole band was obsessed with At the Gates, and we were like, let's just cover lots of At the Gates. People seem to like it when we do that. We just did it, and it was fun. Good story, huh? You might be thinking, man, that's a terrible story. Why is he telling me? No idea. What's going on, folks? How are you? My name is Tyler. Welcome to the Amp Sim Show, episode 124. And this is something we're going to be doing from time to time. We'll be doing tone talks where I'm taking requests. In this case, for example, I'm listening to this and I know exactly, there's a video, a famous video. And I can promise you, whatever you think that they used for this album, if you don't know, you're wrong. It's one of those things that if you go watch the video, I don't even know what the video is called. But if you go right now up here and just skip me for a bit and go watch this amazing video on how At the Gates got the tone for the Slaughter album, it's pretty interesting. There's like a homemade ISO cabinet and a combo amp and a metal zone and an HM2 involved there, because you can hear there's just a faint bit of HM2 in there somewhere. Super interesting, though, how they got the tone for this album. Go and check it out. All right, so I'm just chilling out today, hanging out, helping you guys get some fun tones. If you're in the chat, if there is something you'd like me to check out, I won't necessarily be able to get the tone in the midstream if I'm not using the right guitar or if I'm not super familiar with the tone. That being said, we can take you to Equipboard, as we've been doing, and I can tell you guys the best way to get the tones of the gear that those artists are I guess most well known for. I can say, okay, on the plug-in market, you're going to aim for this. You're going to aim for that. I am actually kind of curious as to how this is going to sound, though. This is my Iceman. That's too scooped to be able to see. That's what I'm... The only downside to the one fucking knobs! The only downside to the one knob is like, if you're real close to the tone you want, but like you just can't get at that... You can't get at the control panel, it becomes a little bit frustrating. Like if I'm after that Jerry Cantrell tone right now, I can't quite get there. Or maybe I can. Hold on. Hold up. Hold up a second. Best deal... Nope. The best diesel VH4 is absolutely 100% not the ML Sound Lab. Nope. I definitely have to disagree with you there. Their plugins to me are not... Their plugins to me are sort of Temu sometimes. Their IRs will go down as he'll go down as an IR icon. The guy is a legend, a god at making impulse responses. But the plugins from ML Sound Lab I find that are very hit and miss. Very hit and miss. And I think at times, if I'm going to be honest, poorly thought out. The pedal sections, for example, are very cookie cutter, cut and paste. And I think should be more catered to the amps apart from just the graphics being changed. There's a few things that I would change in their plugins. They're definitely not the worst on the market today, but I do feel that I don't feel there's a ton of quality there. The Blackout is pretty cool. I have tried the VH4. I just didn't get the same vibes. We will disagree on this one, sir. It's okay. The Brainworks is going to be my baby on that for now. I think there's another one coming though. That would get me that Jerry Cantrell type sound. I'm not saying Temu, okay? I won't say Temu. But I will say it's hard to call it. I just find that, how do I say this? If one-to-one replica is like 100% realism, I feel like most of the time their plugins, as well as some things I know about some of their plugins, I feel like their plugins, and I'm not going to shit on them because I've praised, the Miko plugin is really cool. And like I said, their impulse responses are impeccable. And I think when you use their amp sims, if you don't move the dials, if you don't move the controls around a lot, you can get a decent tone at stock default. But when you start to do a lot of things, and if you're a real big fan of that gear, you'll start noticing that not everything is adding up. The way that certain controls affect each other, the way it just, I would say that if 100% is like one-to-one realism, one-to-one replica, and there are only a handful of those. There's a lot of that boasting that we get close to one-to-one replica. There's only a few out there that really do get you just on the cusp of that full-on replica kind of feel. But in this case, I think that they would provide more like if like I said, if one-to-one is 100%, these would be about 60%. They're still much better than Positive Grid stuff, 100%. Positive Grid would be the Temu of plugins, but the ML Sound Lab doesn't quite swing with the heavy hitters. Okay, that's what I can say, and that's not being mean. It's just me. Like the Temu thing was mean, but I didn't really think that through. Positive Grid's more of the Temu. I would consider the ML Sound Lab to be more like the Good Value. You know what I mean? It'll get you there. It's sustenance. It's solid, but it's not going to swing with the heavies, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, right? That's the thing, though, dude. That amp is not super easy to dial in its analog form. You know what I mean? We have to start looking at like the rectifier. People, I've seen a lot of people complain about a lot of rectifier plugins saying this is hard to dial in, and it's hard to dial in. Or like the Mark Series amps. You wanted Mark Series amps, and now you're complaining they're hard to dial in. Well, guess what? They're hard. Some amps are just hard to dial in. And when I saw those complaints about like, oh, this rectifier is really hard to dial in, I need something that's easier. Guess what? The rectifier is just a fickle beast. And I think the VH4 is also quite touchy to dial in, depending on what sounds you're looking for. The VH4 is, any amp that gives you like this massive tone palette is going to be it's going to have a lot of headroom on every control. So it's going to take you some time to really nail it down. And, but again, like you have your opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong. We disagree. That's no problem. Maybe I should take another swing. But the general consensus here is like, I know Seuss at Metal Tune Music is a huge fan of what ML Sound Lab and their plugins are doing. This is obviously a Squirrel Brain offshoot. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm shitting on the company. They do have some plugins that are very much worth buying. 100%. I just find that when you start looking for more realism, it'll get you some good tones. But when I'm looking for realism across a control panel, I don't get those vibes. They took a swing at the Mark amps before really anybody really did. Unfortunately, that the Mark Series plugin they did wasn't really that bang on. But they took a swing. They took the risk and they said, you know what? We're going to try. And they took a swing and they didn't do a terrible job. But again, a few plugins have come out since that have really just crushed that like a beer can, like a Titan sub. Like just done, you know? And then, you know, there's a lot of plugins that have come out, like the Neural DSP Mark II C Plus came out and just destroys that plugin. Destroys it. And there's also one from DB Quattro that's also super, super good. And at that point, this one kind of becomes almost obsolete because these other two plugins nail it, as well as Amplification Archive from Kuasa does a pretty good job of nailing that Mark Series sound. There's a couple of the Triaxis plugins that do the Mark Series sound pretty well. So it kind of renders that a bit useless. Just like the Archon that they put out, there's a few Archons now that really just make that one irrelevant because now you can get the sound of that amp, just like the Waves as well. The Waves PRS Supermodels Archon, those are all obsolete plugins now because other stuff has come out that just destroys those. So, you know what I mean? So take it with a grain of salt. What's going on, Bo? Just reading Bo's comment. Biggest reason they are so many variations. Yeah, this is true. There are a lot of variations of the rectifier and the Mark Series. Yeah. What I do? I'm not sure which tone I'm after right now. I guess I got caught on this kind of Jerry Cantrell sort of vibe I wanted to go after. That's too shiny. Too shiny. Too shiny. Let's dial that back just a little bit. Ugh. That's pretty sweet. This is, again, the Amp Knob BDM 410 JVM. This thing is awesome. And Xander Bananas, have you tried these yet? I think we were talking about them at one point, but man, these things are ripping. Going back to a company that, again, I want to just to end the conversation on ML Sound Lab. I am by no means in the world telling anybody to not go and buy and try their plugins. No, by no means. Please do try those plugins, but also be sure to do your comparisons. If you're using their 800, compare it to the other 800s and find out which one you like best. If that is the one you indeed like best, tell me about it. Tell me why you thought it was the best versus these other ones. I'd be curious, you know, just like their Mark amp or any of the amps that they have that have been done by other developers. Compare developers. Find out who's really on top. You know what I mean? And maybe you might get, I mean, I can tell you that the Laney and the High Watt that ML Sound Lab took a run at, not too bad. Could have used a fuzz plugin out front. That's when it comes down to the pedal selection in the plugin, in this suite, if you will. If you're going to include plugins, you cannot just include the same cookie cutter for over and over and over and over and over again. You can't really do that. You should really be trying to model new pedals and cater those pedals to the suite so that it's not just here's some pedals. Yeah, they're just so you know, just we provided them, you know. Yeah. You want to find something that's going to go the extra mile at showcasing how good the amps are, right? Something that's just more suited. Okay. Poo tones. No, you're right. Positive Grip will never give you good tones. It's sad too because it seems like some of these little amps and like these little cubes and stuff they're coming up with, these seem pretty handy and kind of fun. It'd be way cooler if you could just use it for better modeling. Yeah, but with the JVM, there's really nothing to compare. There really isn't. Nothing compares. Nothing compares. Oh, I gotta sit up. So we're hanging out today. Give me another option. I'm curious. Use the sword to shape the high end. I could. Sure. Let's try that out. We got the sword up here. I'm not going to use corpse boost, that's for sure. Let's do factory. See what we got. That sounds good. I just love this pickup. The Bill Lawrence USA L500XL. Man, what a pickup. I feel like it's my benchmark for awesome pickups now. I just feel like it's just such a great pickup. Doesn't matter what tuning you throw at it, which genre, anything else. It can do everything from southern rock to extreme metal. I'm just always so blown away how crisp it makes everything sound. I won't lie to you guys. I really, really, really want to get a set of those West Hoke Jupiter rails and take these out of this guitar and put the Jupiter rails in. I don't know why, just because he has his, and it would be fun. It would be fun to put a set of his pickups in an Iceman like he has it, although his Iceman is like a custom shop 7 and it's just so sick. So sick, his Iceman. Oh man, it's so awesome. Does he have a signature guitar yet? So yeah, we're just chilling out and we're after some tones and we got throw some ideas at me. You got to use more to the sword. Yeah, I really agree. It's Marshall. I have something else. The delays. It's like using the Juggernaut preset on the sword. The Juggernaut. Did I make that one? Or did they make it? I made that one. I don't know what this is based on. I made pretty much all of the factory presets. And what I did was I used a spectral analyzer and I ran signal through a lot of different pedals, pedal plugins, all kinds of different stuff. And I ran signal through and then I just tried to copy the curve using the sword roughly as just by hand for looking at the spectral analyzer and finding out where the various points are and the peaks and valleys of those signals were. I used a lot. I even used some NAM NAM captures and just so these are all meant to kind of be very similar to something that's out there already. Some of these are based even fuzz pedals and some other things that I did, and this is super fun to make presets for. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys the way I've done it, but let's see what we got here. Okay, so without. And with. This sounds pretty solid, guys. And so, yeah, amp knob, the amp knob, one fucking knob. I gotta get a couple in. Guys. Are we throwing something at me here? How can I use 2 delays One left and one right. Ton, that's going to leave that to one of the other fellas because I have no idea. Cantrell is modded Marshall type amps. Scullage, you weren't here earlier. We had one situation that came up, and I was just like, I wish Bo was here. The Bill Kelleher butter slacks, how different is that from your average HBE, BE, or the Jerry Cantrell model, etc.? How different are those amps, really? Or is it just come down to like, is the butter slacks just an HBE with some different modifications, different switches, or is it more simplified where there's fewer switches and fewer mods available? So it's just a more of a bare bones amp. I noticed it's about $4,000, which is to me not that high a price for that amp. I'm not saying I'm in the market, but I mean, if I had good money, I wouldn't. That doesn't seem like a lot to pay for a Friedman. $4,000 is a lot of money. Don't give me. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that I expect that amp to be closer to like $6,000, but cool. Ever see? Yeah, Roland put on some Boss pedals. Yeah, the thing is though, I'm wondering who's developing those for them. Or if they actually hired a programmer, coder, somebody in-house, or what the story is. I'd be very curious to know, like, who's doing the modeling for them. Out of curiosity. Yes, we did see it. Andy Timmons. Okay, let's go. Ton, I can't ignore Andy Timmons mentioned twice. I don't know anything about it, so this is fun. Let's go to Andy Timmons. Andy Timmons. Amplifiers. We've got a lot of amps here. Let's see what we have in common between all these amps. Again, we see the Laney VH100 pop up. That's an amp hub. The Marshall JMP Super Lead 100. We know there's tons of different plugins that offer super leads. There's another one coming, though, folks, that is going to blow your mind. I'm telling you right now. There's a modified Marshall plugin coming out this year that is going to drop jaws. Many jaws. I can promise you that. It's going to be a kid in a candy store for a lot of Marshall fans. That's all the last I'm going to say of it for the moment. We've got a whole bunch of Mesa Boogie amps that I've not overly familiar with, but I know exists, like the Lone Star. If you know where that's from, raise your hand. Lone Star. Every time I see the name of that head, I think of that quote. Oh. What a great riff. Riff break. Riff break. Man. Riffs. This is unearth this lying world. Savage. Remember when they were in their prime? In their prime. Try Deliver Us Tone. If I'm not familiar with this song, though, sure. I don't know. The thing is, if you listening to certain things, I don't know if I'm going to get nuked, but let's listen to Andy Timmons. And what's the song I'm looking for here? Deliver Us. Deliver Us. All right, let's see what we got. That's a cool riff. What are you hearing, Bo? I'm gonna save this song. This song rips. I'm not really hearing an overly EL34 tone there. That doesn't sound like a Marshall to me. But I don't see a lot of Marshalls on this list. What was he using? PV Rockmaster preamp. Wow. Danger, Danger. There's a band name I have not heard in a long time. Okay, so going from the start, and we know effects pedals probably has changed a lot as well. That is a nice tone. I'm not getting an overly like, that's not a British tone. That sounds like boogie all the way. But when did this come out? What year is this song? 2015? Fuck, it could be anything. Or is this like a greatest hits? I don't know. Either way, 2015, this definitely is just not giving me any kind of Marshall-y vibes at all. I want to say this is boogie. It's giving me more of a Dream Theater-y Mesa vibe. Yeah, this is definitely 100% not Marshall. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a Mesa. Isn't he a Mesa Boogie endorser now? Lone Star. I'm going to go ahead and say the Stiletto, the Lone Star, the Mark, one of these amps. The Transatlantic. Also, we have to remember that this is a recording, right? What is he using live? Let's go watch. Go watch a video of him playing this live. What is he using? Oh, wait. Go look up any video of him playing this song live. Look around for an amp. Because at this point in his career, I'm sure he's not hiding the amps under like a backdrop. I'm sure he's going to want that to be a very, very present, because these guys sell people gear still, right? Yeah. That's a nice tapping lick. Check that out. I want to look that up. Doesn't sound that hard. Hold on. Doesn't sound that hard. That's like 4-finger tapping. I always saw, and this is going to be a controversial comment, I always saw Andy Timmons as sort of like Paul Gilbert, but not as good as Paul Gilbert. That's what I always saw. He was like the almost Paul Gilbert. And then Bruce Boulay, you know what I mean? Also was like that guy that just like created like this god status of guitar and then just dipped. He he just dipped. He wasn't playing. It's so crazy. All these old shredders, man, like they can all still play too. All of them. They have not slowed down a little bit. That was 2015, which is, I mean, admittedly 10 years ago, but I would consider that more of his newer, more modern material, and it still fucking just absolutely rips. That's pretty cool, man. Thanks for showing me that song. I appreciate you. Charlie Crease, how are you, sir? See, that was fun. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, by Ton Guitarra, that he's probably using, I would say he's using one of these Mesa amps on that song. That definitely is not a Marshall-y type sound, although he's not really overly known for using Marshall. He used one back in the day in the studio. So, okay, in the studio when? March 2021. So in March 2021, when asked what amps he used in the studio, a 68 Marshall Plexi Super Lead panned on one side and a stereo field, the Marshall GMP panned on the other side. So I guess he's gotten more into Marshalls in his older age, but it seems like most of his older stuff was all... Well, so it's all Marshall is what he's gotten at now. Who knows anything about that album, though? I don't know anything about that album. Maybe he was going for more of a Brit sound. But like... You see right here, This is from a rig rundown. You can see right here, Premier Guitar rig rundown. It says right here, Timmins runs 2 Mesa Boogie. When's this from? This is from 2021 as well. Hold on, let's go to it. I don't want it to make a big loud sound though. So yeah, 2 Mesa Boogie Lone Stars. Anybody know? Anybody drop where that clip is from? Where's that quote from, folks? The other has 6L6s. One is, oh, so one is, you can put two different tubes in the Lone Star? That's kind of cool. So one of his Lone Stars is EL34s, and the other one of his Lone Stars is 6L6s. But that doesn't seem that far apart from the interview about the album. So I don't know, man. Like, these guys have so much different gear. When was he known for using the stiletto? He's just advertising the stiletto? Okay, so there's nothing that suggests here that he used that amp at all in the studio or otherwise. He's just pictured with a stiletto and what looks to be a Lone Star or another stiletto. Stiletto Ace. 50-watt combo head. So I think that's just, again, interesting. So they also tell you this product is vintage or discontinued. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lean on the fact that, what about this Mark series, though? Hold on. When was this now? Okay, this is just for a demo. So this was right here. It looks like this is a Mesa Boogie in-house demo. So again, I'm not going to take that for... that's just like, he's a demo artist. This is what I'm curious about, though. The PV Rockmaster. Whoa! Look at this. Look at this picture on the screen. Look at that. Look at that picture. This is old. During his time with Danger, Andy Timmins used the PV Rockmaster preamp and accompanied by the Classic Series 120 power amps. I'll bet you this was heavy as balls. Those things were not light. What's he got in the middle here? Oh, that's a whirlwind switcher. Interesting. Very interesting. I want to, is there not, did somebody not do a PV Rockmaster? Isn't there one in like Amp Locker or something in on the reamp side? I can't remember. Timmins did a sit down with that pedal show and went through his pedal rig and he was using Mesas. Yeah. Just as soon as I listened to that tone, there was nothing about it that said EL34s to me, like nothing Brit about that tone at all. Which a lot of those guys, at least for their leads and their solos, a lot of those guys, those old shredders, they love their EL34s. They love their Brit. They love their Brit tubes for their solos. And then rhythm stuff, it can kind of go between EL34s and 6L6s. Interesting. So today we also took a look at Andy Timmins. That's pretty fun. I learned something new today, found a new song that I like, and I learned some more about Andy Timmins. What about this Laney though? When did he use the Laney? Rig-wise, it changes every gig, it seems. Okay. Right there, it just tells you everything we need to know about Andy Timmins. Rig-wise, it changes every gig, it seems. I've been using that VHT Pitbull. And yet, that's not in our list, is it? It says right here, but you'd think that if this is enough, this mention right here is enough to have the Laney put in here, but yet there's no mention of a Pitbull anywhere on this list. There's nothing listed in under the amps as for a Pitbull. So see, what we did here is we have to go a little bit more in depth. And this could be right down, literally, like, this could be right down to, like, different gigs, you know? Like, he's being a little bit facetious there, I'm sure. But rig-wise, it changes every gig. Be using as VHT Pitbull for a lot of stuff. A being to a pair of Mesa Boogie Maverick 30-watt amps for the clean side. I've got the Laney VH100 that I used on a couple of tracks on the new record and live sometimes. Okay, so here's interesting. We're going through Equipboard looking at stuff. And this little section here, I've still got the Laney VH that I used on a couple tracks on the new record and live sometimes. And it was mentioned, but yet right here it says he's using the VHT Pitbull pretty much constantly for, it says a lot of stuff, but yet did we see the mention? No mention at all of the Fryette/VHT Pitbull in this list. So if we wanted to and we were so inclined, we could add gear to this list. I'd have to log in, and I don't want to do that. You can add gear, and that's if you're doing, I'm doing the internet good. So you add gear and put VHT, and then you would copy that whole and paste that whole paragraph and that picture and just say the same thing. That's all you would need is to copy and paste from the other one. That's it. Interesting. So you guys, the Equipboard is incredibly handy when it comes to dealing with plugins. No, I don't want just to log in. Leave me alone. How's it going, Mr. Chernobyl? We are tone hunting today, sir. We went over some Rammstein. We went over some Slayer, tiny bit of Jerry Cantrell for myself, because in the moment, this guitar always just screams Alice in Chains riffs for some reason. I don't know why. It does, but it just does. It's not that he's even ever used an ice band. For some reason, just the tone I get out of this guitar makes me feel Alice in Chainsy. So we went after that a little bit, and then we started going over some old shred tones with Andy Timmons, and it's been fun. So far, so good today. And guys, throw something at me. I'm curious. As long as it's something that's, don't throw. I'm opening the door for Scott to walk through it here, but don't throw me some random black metal band that's got two albums they recorded in the forest behind their parents' house. I won't know what to tell you. I'll just go tell you to use a PV Rage 158 inside a metal trash can, and then put a Radio Shack 57 at the end of the trash can. Voila! Tone complete. How do you taste? It's been fun, though. This is one of my favorite things about plugins, is going after these tone chases. And back in the day of Honest Amp Sim reviews, we used to do these tone talk posts, and I would go over in depth how to get artist's tone. Is this something that I would consider doing for, videos, like, the shorter videos? I just don't know how I would do it in 20 minutes. And I want to make sure the pre-recorded stuff literally is no longer than 20 minutes. Statistics say 20 minutes is kind of like where a lot of people, you're even hard pressed if it's to keep it under 20 minutes, so that when the viewer looks at it, they want to watch stuff that's less than 20 minutes. I'm after reading that, I find myself doing that, so I get it. So there's this cool black metal band that record one EP in Fortiside, their outhouse in 1989. Did they, after the recording, did they drown each other in the shitter? After one guy, like, we didn't hear that story. I want to hear that story. Then the one guy that drowned everybody in the shitter stole like an old-timey bicycle with the big wheel on the front as this getaway vehicle. And he's like, I can just picture this like this dude in corpse paint with blood on his hands riding an old-timey bicycle down this like shitty road. That's where I went with it. Where's the pre-recorded videos? Man, what can I tell you? I'm just an overthinker. I had a couple of them done. I rewatched and just hated them. It's very stiff. I want to get it a little bit. I need more practice, and I've been practicing. And basically, I want them to watch the same as what we're doing here. Okay? But for whatever reason, it's very much more rigid. And I'm trying not to swear as well. It's difficult trying not to fucking swear. Try not to swear, and I'm trying to just keep it lively while also having, like, no audience whatsoever. It's interesting. And so I've played around with the format a few times. They're coming. And there's no shortage of products to start with, old and new and everything else. The segments will be called The Rundown. There's a few different segments. There'll be rundowns and quick runs. Quick runs will be sub 5 minutes. Rundowns will be about 20. Be single product based. And I do want to do tone talks, but I just don't think they can be condensed into 20 minutes, even for a single artist. I think they're better to do in live stream format. So we're going to keep the tone talks to this, an open format where people can also request and just say I'm trying to nail this particular tone. What do I do to do that? And going back to tonne chitarra, if I was to try to nail the sound for the best value possible, if I was trying to nail that sound, I would go and buy Kuwasa's Amplification Archive. That's the one I would get. That's the one I would get. I would say that's going to get you the majority of the way there. I would check out that plugin ASA friggin' P, and I think you're going to be rather happy with what it does. That, and then blend it with your choice of delay. It sounded like there was some sort of a bit of a bouncy delay happening there. Get something with a ping pong setting, or you don't necessarily have to. This is my freebie. This is the delay I use all the time. You guys have heard it and seen it a billion different times. This is the free analog rack delay from Nambrini Audio. I've been using it every single one of the 124 streams. It's been just sitting there it just sits and chills until I need it or don't need it. So check that out the next time you guys get a chance. I wish someone would do a good VH140C plugin. Here's what I can tell you, Xander. All right, so you ever heard of this guy here? Have you ever heard of this amp? Have you ever heard of this amp? I make no mention of that at all. In fact, completely forget that I mentioned it. The problem with the VH140C is getting the actual amp itself is very hard. They have become very rare, and they have become very expensive because the people who have them don't want to sell them. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of them that are in amp collections. There are a lot of people that have them and will not sell them. And that renting one is also pretty much impossible. The majority of the developers, especially the majority of the developers being over, for some reason in Europe, it's even harder to find them. I know two developers that have actively been trying their hardest to find one to model, and it's just not an easy amp to find. So unless you know somebody with one, or unless you have one, or you can rent one, you just happen to know a Gear Coyote that you'd rent one for, you can rent, or a store or a service that you can rent one from, it's very difficult to find them. That being said, there's new alternatives out there, aka this heavy earth flesh rot, which I can tell you is getting a plugin. Which developer? I cannot say. But I will tell you that the flesh rot is very likely in the not so distant future going to find itself in plugin form. And that is sort of a souped up, modded up, steroided version of that amp. Nah, you don't want an amped knob version of that amp. That being said, you know what, buddy? I'm going to show you something you might not be too familiar with. You ever heard of the Flextron, my man? Let's go. Here's the Flextron, my friend. If you've not heard of this, you need to go and get it, because this one is as close as you're going to get in plugin form, and I hope you have Windows because there's no Mac version. This is the AXP Soft Amp Flextron DC14. It is based on the Crate amp that is based on it is modeled from, I should say, that the Crate amp and modeled pretty well from the Crate amp that is known very well for being modeled from the, the VH140C. Okay, so check this out. Why does that sound so odd to me? Oh, verb. I don't want the verb. So the cab's not superb here. You always use your own impulses anyway. So we're going to go off. We're going to use our own cab. And we're just going to use whatever this is. It dropped quite a bit of volume there. Ah, yes. Y'all Windows fools got everything. So this thing is pretty rad. This is, in my opinion, the best and the closest way to get the old VH140C sound possible. This is the best current way to do it. It's pretty awesome if you think the VH140C is awesome. A lot of people, it's funny because there's a lot of worship for that amp right now, but in all honesty, the amp is very limited, and in a mix, I would feel like it would need to be accompanied with something beefier. That's where the flesh rock comes in, and that one is beefier. It's beefed. It's pretty damn beefy. A little bit of Yngwie in the background here. Anyways, so there's the 90s version, and that's the one here. We're going to crank the gain. In fact, I think the gain's already up, though. Yeah, the gain's already all the way up. Now, some of you out there might be like, man, that sounds like absolute dog crap. What the fuck are these guys talking about right now? You have to be there. You have to know the sound that we're after here. And if you listen to those old Corpse albums and there's several old death metal albums that feature the VH140C. And you have to just understand that at that point in time, there was no 5150. The 58150 had yet to save metal. Okay? So prior to that, there wasn't a lot of money for starters in early death metal. And there wasn't really anything equipped on the market that had tons of distortion that was like affordable and everything else. These high gain monster amps didn't exist yet. So these guys looked at doing it with solid state. And that's how they just made it work. With the solid state amps, they had a bit more beef. They did tend to use, pedals out in front. Occasionally the, DS or the Super Overdrive and, etc. would be out in front. Or the old TC Electronics preamps would be out in front. Something would be out in front from time to time to just give it even more of a boost. But that was just what they had. And so that became the sound. And then, of course, the 5150 came out, the rectifier came out, and really just changed things altogether for death metal. Most death metal bands started using different stuff, except for Suffocation. Suffocation is the dude is stuck with his VH140C for a long time now. And he also, I think he uses something different. But even a band like, for example, Dying Fetus, a band I can tell you, that band needs their own plugin, 100%. Thank you. People understand 1,000 presets. Yes, I agree. Yeah, man, Eddie, we're on a long boy today. We're running a long stream today. That's cool, dude. We're just hanging out today. Tomorrow, though, I hope you're free because we're going to be getting together tomorrow to go over some of the Revolt DSP stuff. I do believe I will be here tomorrow doing some. It's supposed to be a really shitty day outside. I think we were outside this morning, played a round of disc golf with 50K gusts, and for only our, for my like 4th or 5th round of the year, it was pretty rough. We did what we had to do and got out okay, but we only played about half a round, and then we enjoyed the last of the nice weather on the long weekend. So tomorrow is supposed to be kind of dumpy, so I'm looking forward to get in here and have a good time and chat some guitar. check out some new stuff, etc. So we're talking about Dying Fetus, and the thing about Dying Fetus, there's a band, for example, very, very fine example, is that John Gallagher used to use the VH140C in the early Dying Fetus stuff, and then as soon as, but I mean, at that point, there was the 5150, but eventually he changed to Angle and then went over to EVH and so on, right? So yeah, we'll see. Well, I'm going to do my best. I remember the first time, I remember exactly where I was. I was walking through my high school in the science wing all by myself. The first time I heard this lick, and I literally stopped walking to where like a few people bumped into me. I remember hearing this part of the song right here. Hold on. This one lick is just so fucking ridiculous. I think I was about 15. Here comes this riff right here. Oh my god. You know, for such a huge douche noodle, Yngwie Malmsteen can back it up though. That dude can fucking play guitar, man. That guy can fucking play. Biggest douchebag on the planet. One of them, as said by many people. But man, that guy can back it up. Fuck, he can back it up. Oh, unbelievable. What an absolute guitar player. Such a beefy, powerful, beefy amp. You know what? I've got this one fired up and ready to go, so... That's a little bit tinny edge. I fucking can't remember this at all. I can't remember that exactly. This is the metal up your something or other preset that came with this, and it actually doesn't get you too far away. You gotta keep in mind this is probably designed to be used with some EMGs, and I'm just gonna chill off. Just gonna kind of shave off a little bit of the top end. I'm also not too proud to admit that I don't fully know how to use this amp that well. I'm not gonna be too proud. Oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. Fuck, this song has me charged up. What a great song. Thanks, Ton. I do enjoy Rhino, although I will say that there'll be some more presets next time. I love doing presets, though, man. That's one of my favorite things about this industry. It has been for a lot of years. I've been doing presets for companies for about pretty close to a decade now, and I really enjoy it. This sounds really good. This is such a fun plugin to use. Honestly, this amp is very complex. Very complex. And I am not too proud to admit that I really just don't know how to set this amp up. Like, it's a tough bird, and I've done a lot of research. I've just never had hands on one, and for me to really understand an amp, I really want to have hands on it, with my hands on a guitar, hands on an amp, in a small room, and just like playing it and just kind of dicking around with it for like an hour and a half, couple hours even. That's how a lot of amps that we do reviews and stuff on, like are amps that I've physically owned in the past, in my past days as an amp sloot. I never owned a lot of amps at one time, but I was constantly buying, selling, trading, buy, sell, trade, buy, sell, trade, buy, sell, trade, and or modify, buy, sell, this, that. And I'm not that I modified amps on my own. I am not that talented or that stupid. Don't open up a tube amp and start poking around, folks. Don't do it. This is using that spread feature, though. I don't want that. I hate spread features when I have headphones on. It literally gives me, I don't know what it is. Maybe there must be some things medical and scientific about it, because whenever I use the spread feature and I have my headphones on, it feels like it's just squeezing my brain from both sides. I don't know what it is. It's just really, really obnoxious feeling. But for this case... Nope, don't like that chorus much at all. No, I don't. All right, guys. It's been fun so far. So what tone am I after right now? Nothing in particular. Kind of going after an old rock. No one's requested anything in a bit, so I just kind of got lazy. Well, someone said Eddie, and I know that was just saying hello to Eddie, but man, I hope it wasn't asking me to get any Eddie Van Halen tones, because I don't want to do that. Getting Eddie Van Halen tones in a plugin is not as easily accomplished as you might think. Pre-accident Yngwie was another level. What do you mean accident? He was in an accident? I don't remember. Why do I vaguely recall that just now? Why am I just realizing that now? What a great song this is, by the way. Listen, hell. We're having fucking sloppy joes tonight, folks. You guys are going to be getting in plugin form a very cool, very simplified. If you're not like Tonne Guitar and myself and a few others, this is a beast of an amp. And most people are after the same tone with this amp. Sure, it can do a lot, but a lot of people are after very similar thrashy tone with this amp. It is what it is. So you guys are going to be getting a very simplified version of a Mark Series amp in a signature suite coming soon that I cannot wait to showcase for you, because it sounds that good. Bo can agree this thing sounds really cool. And I can't tell you the developer, I can't tell you the signature artist, although I can tell you he is my modern guitar hero. And if you guys have heard me talk about that before in the past, well, you guys can do the math. But in this case, I can't wait, because I feel like a simplified Mark amp is a good idea, just like simplified rectifiers are a good idea too. Some people don't want all the different sounds and trimmings, and if you know that people are after one main sound with a very complex amp, then creating either a plugin that's coded just kind of based around that one channel or that one sound is not a bad idea. Just much like you've seen in the analog world, there are companies out there that have put out amps that are just simply a simplified rectifier. You know what I mean? That's how I actually look at I know that Mr. Hector is not, that's not what that is. Although I've once upon a time heard it called the poor man's rectifier. But then people tell me it's based on it has some Marshall topology involved in the schematic. But I've always felt that the Mr. Hector, Laboga Mr. Hector is in fact really does exude that simplified rectifier sound. Sloppy Joe, Sloppy Joe. Come on, boys, you guys want some Sloppy Joes? I made them extra sloppy for you. Obviously, Xander Banana knows that movie. What is the movie, folks? You know what this sounds like? This is, if I was doing a tone talk for Volbeat, this would be where you're going right here. Give it up, Bob, baby, little Bob, baby, little Bob. Give it up, Bob, baby, little Bob. Give it up, Bob, baby, little Bob. Ooh, yeah! I like that. I'm not making fun of that band. It's just the way he sounds. I love Volbeat, actually. Up until the Metallica, it got a little bit too much like the same. I don't know. It's not that I don't dislike them though. They're still fucking great. And that guy's guitar tone, we're really close right now. We're really close. I want to say that sometimes he's using the middle pickup selection. Yeah, he's not using the neck pickup. Sometimes it sounds like he's using the middle pickup at all times, though. Keep in mind, for the Metallica tone, they ran an EQF. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Car crash, coma, lost movement in his hand. Really? Well, I mean, then Dave Mustaine had to relearn guitar as well, which is crazy, isn't it? Dave Mustaine and I both did something very similar, actually. He slept on his arm the wrong way. Like, he slept face down with his arm underneath him and woke up with severe nerve damage. I didn't do it to that extent, but that actually did happen to me to an extent where my arm, like, I slept on my arm the wrong way the day after playing like a full day of softball. I slept on my arm the wrong way and woke up. Then the next day, literally, I could not. It took like 2 or 3 days for me to get my arm feeling normal again. And it was quite scary. After knowing like what had happened to Dave Mustaine and having to relearn things from scratch. Pretty crazy. So it sounds like you're singing Life of Agony. I can't disagree that there is a similarity between, I mean, you can't really, if you listen to Life of Agony versus the vocals in Volbeat, I mean, I guess that would be, there are similarities there are definite similarities there. If you want to talk about that, that's two very interesting vocalists. I actually saw Life of Agony in Montreal opening for Megadeth, but it wasn't Keith Caputo singing. It was Whitfield Crane from Ugly Kid Joe was singing for Life of Agony at the time, and boy did he sound fucking good singing those songs, man. Oh my god, he sounded good. See, that dude is a phenomenal vocalist, and he sounded great singing those songs. Hey, Rudy, what's going on, dude? How are you? So, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We've been on here for a bit. This is what it's going to kind of feel like when we do these tone rabbit holes and hunts. A lot of talking, a lot of just kind of showing you guys, you know, going over the Equipboard and just kind of giving you guys my opinion, what I would do to get that sound. Or if you guys want to throw a particular, it doesn't have to be a band, it could also be an album. More specifically, or a specific small part of one song. If you guys are really curious, I will listen to it and say, man, I'm really stumped. I don't know how to get this tone. Because there's been a lot of times where I didn't know how to get a tone, and I had to reach out to people I knew, like, hey man, can you listen to this and tell me what's going on? What is he using here? And we're happy to be there for you. Also, just giving my opinion on which plugins I would use to best get the job done. Plugins currently on the market right now. Tyler, maybe asking for 2 is too much, but Gary Moore's Cold Day in Hell tones. Lazarus AD, nice. Lazarus AD, I think just used boogies. Lazarus AD, man, I don't see that band mentioned a lot, and I don't think they're going to be on Equipboard, but let's find out before I get out of here. Lazarus AD, it is here. Is there? No, there's no gear added for anyone. That's a tease. It's such a tease. I'm going to bet that they used, much like Evile, they have a very similar sound to Evile, and I'm going to go ahead and say that they were probably all Mark Series amps. A lot of those retro thrash bands, I call them retro thrash bands, but those bands have been around for a long time, but still, it's still retro, the new vintage, you know, what do you want to call them? Modern vintage thrash. We'll call it that. Those bands, a lot of them are just total like Mark Series worship, and just trying to recreate the tones of old kind of thing. It's like, I think the guy in Municipal Waste is the exception there, though. I think that guy uses some sort of weird solid state kind of rig. I don't know, maybe not. I can't remember what that guy uses. See, now you got me thinking. I was on my way out, and I've got cats wrestling in the background. Municipal... Fuck you! Municipal Waste. What we got? Guitarist Ryan Waste. He is not the guitarist in that band. Is he? I thought he was the vocalist. No, he's not. Oh yeah, it's the dude with that fucking crazy guitar. He uses a metal zone and a heavy metal and a rectifier. When I saw him, he had a racked rectifier though. He had I could have sworn he used a rack rectifier. But again, so yeah, that's interesting. He's using a triple rec. Are there any plugins based on triple recs? Except for the defunct Thermionic collection? I don't think so. Unknown Stratocaster. Custom MW left-handed V. The guitar he uses is bananas. Anyways, emailed Ryan this morning, told him I wanted to know his rig for Art of Partying. Interesting. With whether or not Zeus did any reamping, as the question of the pedal, he always has. So they're doing the Cannibal Corpse thing. So he's always using a Boss MT2 metal zone through a rectifier. And you might be thinking, what the fuck did you just say to me? Cannibal Corpse and many other bands use the metal zone as a boost with boosty type settings as opposed to full on distorted type settings. They use that in front of the rectifier with a pinch less gain on it, and it gives it a really unique kind of vibe. So maybe tomorrow we can try and get that Cannibal Corpse-y type sound for funskis. Your favorite company ML Sound Lab does? They have a triple rack? Hey, and listen, I don't want it to come off like I'm a hater of ML Sound Lab. No, absolutely not. Miko and I do not get along, but that has nothing to do with the fact that I absolutely worship his work in impulse responses. I use it all the time. You guys have seen many streams where I've absolutely used his IRs. I will give credit where it's due. I don't really care who makes it or how I feel about them personally or what I feel about the rest of their gear, the stuff they make. Companies can make something that isn't great and make something that's super great at the same time. Mesa Boogie, I'm looking right at an amp. Mesa Boogie is a fine example. Boss is a very fine example. They made the DS1. The DS1 is, for all intents and purposes, a pile of shit. And yet they've got several other and even they said that they didn't want to release the DS1 because it was just too cheap. A guy there famously said it was just too cheap and too shitty, and we didn't think anybody would want it. And then all of a sudden it blew up. My point here is every company is capable of making something that's not super great and something that is super great. As for their amp sims, I'm not saying they're all fucking horrible either. I'm saying that essentially that there are some of them I feel just lack in some areas. And when put up against other plugins of different companies that model the same gear, you guys do the math. You guys go ahead and do that. Always do your own kind of research as well. Don't take my word for it. And I'm, again, not telling anybody to not go and try all the different amp sims they have for sale over at ML Sound Lab. The only plugin they ever did that I flat out absolutely fucking hated was the Steve Terraberry cardboard amp. I thought it was absolute horrible, awful plugin. It's terrible. It was just the weirdest amp to dial in. You would dial up the gain and the bass would go down, and you would dial up the mids and the treble would go up, and it was such a mess. And I think they discontinued that anyway. So I'm pretty sure that one's gone. But even if it's not, try everything but that one because it wasn't very great. It really did sound like cardboard. Cardboard might have been giving it a compliment. But that's okay. All right. I'm always going to be honest with you guys what I feel about different products from different companies. And I never get too negative about anything because of those ML Sound Lab plugins. I felt like once they really streamlined, when they first started releasing the amp series, I felt that a lot of the plugins had bugs and glitches that were not tended to. And you could see the frustration was building in some user bases saying that, hey, you put out 2 new plugins before fixing the fucking other one. What the fuck is going on? I still can't use this for this DAW. This DAW, it's broken. You'd see comments. And then they kind of streamlined all that, figured that all out, got a really good chain of development going and a good plan together, and then they just started to rip. My only other problem, as mentioned with the ML Sound Lab stuff, is that the cookie cutter pedal section is cookie cutter. It's very much just copy and paste from plugin to plugin with a different graphic. I feel like you really need to, if you're going to include pedals in a suite, I really just feel like they should be modeling new pedals occasionally, and choosing stuff that's a little bit more suited, like in that the Pink Floyd, the Laney or whatever it was, Laney and Highwatt, that really needed a fuzz in there. That would have really complemented the 2 amps super nicely and not all that hard to do in a plug-in form. A simple 2-knob fuzz would have gone a long way. They opted instead for the copy and paste. So that to me brings the score down a little bit. Although that being said, I do like that plugin. So it is what it is. Also, I feel like Blackout is crushing. Blackout is absolutely crushing, punishing. So another one I do like. So I can't say that I don't like any of them because that's just simply not true. All right, CB4 is the shit. I stand on that hill. I have used it. I have experience with it, and we are able to disagree as adults that respect each other and just respect each other to have their own opinions, and that's okay. Always happy to debate and talk shop. I will go and give the CB4 another go. And if you haven't seen the movie CB4, I'm hoping you're going to do that right after the stream, Xander Bananas, because I think you'll love it. If you have not seen CB4, please go watch that movie right now because you'll laugh your ass off. I guarantee it. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go watch a movie of our own, make some food, and enjoy the rest of the evening. You guys go and enjoy your evening as well. I will be back tomorrow at some point doing something for you guys. We don't know what it is yet. Maybe we'll do some corpse. Maybe we won't. I have no idea. We'll figure it out tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. Cheers, all right?
And he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Cause they love him in London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada and Mexico. They say I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious. Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry.